Topics, the news and discussion podcast where we discuss news and other topics. That was a horrible attempt at a tagline off the top of my head, but there we go.
We're working on it.
A for effort.
Yeah, we'll start the show by doing a quick acknowledgement of there was a shooting, the Jacksonville shooting. I'm sure most people have known. We're not going to talk about it much on the show, but our hearts go out to the families and friends affected by the victims and the people who died. So moving on from that, Shine 2018 happened this weekend, Smash tournament in Boston, and it was cool.
So, if you want to go back like 30 episodes or something, there's this episode where I rant about how cool Mewtwo King winning Summit is. You could probably just copy 90% of that and paste that here, and we'd be good.
Makes sense.
Throw that in the Leffen winning Evo one as well.
Yeah,
no, the Leffen winning Evo one, I just kind of was like, yeah, Leffen won Evo. That's kind of okay, I guess.
Yeah, but that's because you have like an anti-Leffen bias.
Yeah, it's who Leffen's awful.
Wow. I didn't know Dan hated Leffen.
What's there to like about Leffen?
Leffen's fine.
Yeah, I mean, he used to be the villain, but not anymore.
Yeah, not really. Now he's just a little bitch on Twitter. That's about all he does.
Yeah.
That I don't like about him.
Oh, yeah, that's literally all he does is bitch on Twitter.
Yeah, but that's not literally all he does, though.
Yeah, it's close.
Not really. Even then, he's doing that less and less these days, so.
Let's see.
What up?
Anyway.
What up, Ketelt? Welcome to the podcast. So yeah, Zane won. For those who don't know, Zane, the used to be up and coming Marth player, but now I think he's there.
He's here.
he's not up and coming anymore. He is just straight up like brought his way from barely crossing into top 100 to being one of the best players in the world.
Why are those images from last time still on there?
He's been playing Smash for a shorter amount of time than I think everyone in here.
Except for Mitch.
Oh, except for Mitch.
Except for Mitch.
Congratulations, Mitch. You still have time.
You still have time to get to Zane's level.
Yeah.
Hey, I'll do that in Dragon Ball.
To be fair, I've been playing Melee for a shorter time than he has.
Yeah.
Was he a Smash fan before he started playing competitively, or did he just watch the... Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, he did. He just didn't start playing in a competitive sense until 4 years ago. He was a casual before then.
Okay.
Was it May 2014 when he started?
Yeah, May 2014.
Yeah, that's what he said.
It was May 2014. That's incredible.
Yeah, that's nuts.
How was he that good?
I don't know.
I also want to point out, for those of you watching, someone who's in the chat right now, Ketelt, we joke about how he needs to listen to the podcast to like get all these jokes and stuff. The first episode he shows up to, I say, you should really listen to one of our old episodes. We talk about Mewtwo King.
That's true.
Episode 17, by the way. Virtual Console is dead.
Nice.
I
that was the name of the episode. Virtual Console is dead.
Yeah.
Excellent.
These new episodes are supposed to be shorter, so just keep that in mind.
That is 100% true.
Less than 5 minutes on this so far. I think we're
fine. Yeah, we get 5 minutes. We have 5 minutes allotment per news topic in the new format.
I was speaking to the audience.
To the audience? I'm definitely not going back to old episodes. Well, some fan you are.
Wow.
Anyway, while we're insulting our fans. So
it's just Catlet.
Yeah, HBox, Mango, and Plup were all at this tournament. And Zane was the winner. That's pretty nuts. It was kind of the perfect storm for Zane to win.
No,
to some degree.
Also the perfect storm.
Primarily HBox not playing on top of his game and Mango being Mango.
Didn't HBox get second, right?
Yeah, HBox got second.
What do you mean not playing up to
So
his...
you see, I mean, he only won because the last opponent he fought didn't take it seriously. That's what you're saying.
No, that's not really what I'm getting at.
Really, I think that's really underscoring what Zane did here.
Oh yeah, no, I don't want to underplay that too much.
HBox, which is crazy.
Yeah, that is crazy.
Twice.
Yeah, and to be clear, it's been a very long time since HBox has lost to a Marth. Like.
Oh yeah, well, wasn't that his first time since like 2013 or something?
I think 2014, which is pretty funny because that's when Zane started playing, and that was the last time. The last time HBox lost to a Marth, Zane just began playing Melee. So that's
kind of funny.
Yeah, that's kind of crazy.
QQU was the last one to beat him.
Yeah.
Zane did dodge.
So that is absolutely crazy. Like HBox slaughters Marths in his sleep. That's just what he does. And HBox was playing plenty good. He's beaten up on everyone else just fine.
Speaking of people who
That was 2015.
Speaking of people who destroy Marths, when's Axe gonna come back? I miss him.
Oh yeah. What happened to Axe?
He like, I don't know, it seemed like he just kind of lost his competitive drive and he stopped competing because he didn't.
Dang.
He was at Evo.
Was he at Evo?
I think so.
I feel like he bustered out at Evo.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he did. Because I think I might have had him on my fantasy draft.
Axe is coming to Big House.
You know that Axe is also the name of an implement for chopping wood?
I
did.
did.
If you Google that, if you Google Axe, both the wood chopping instrument and the male deodorant pop up before the Smash player.
Gee.
Color me surprised.
I would have never guessed.
I honestly bet that if you didn't already search Smash stuff and video game stuff on Google, like on a fresh Google account, you wouldn't even see Axe on the first page. The Smash player. I have a feeling you might not.
Catlin also said Zane dodged a bullet by not having to play Wizzy.
Did he?
There's kind of an RPS going on with 6, 7, and 8. If you put Zane and Wizrobe at 7 and 8, where Zane beats Mango, Mango beats Wizrobe, Wizrobe beats Zane.
Wizrobe beats Zane. Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
Zane doesn't actually have an amazing time versus Falcon.
Zane is down 0-3 on Wizzy. I didn't even know that.
Yeah, which is sort of funny because Zane has never lost to Mango. Zane has a perfect record on Mango, yet he has lost every match he's ever played against Wizrobe. So go figure.
And Zane's still not number 1 PR in MDVA.
Is he not?
I don't know. I'm gonna look it up.
Also, it's worth pointing out that Army had a crazy run at this tournament. Taking 9th place, yeah. So Army did great.
Okay. Zane is number 1. He's been number 1 for the last 2 PRs. That's just a meme.
Wow. I feel lied to be honest.
Yeah, a little bit.
But yeah, it was a really cool top 8. It was cool to see Shroomed in top 8. It was cool to see Gatsu in top 8.
Oh, we gotta talk about S2J. That's right. S2J came through.
S2J tied with Gatsu. What about Gatsu's who really came through?
Nah, smoke 2 Johnnies all the way.
All right. Well, we're 9 minutes into our 15-minute news segment, so I'm going to move on to the next topic. They removed some puddles from Spider-Man, and the lighting looks a little different, and people are mad. That's the really horrific, unfair TLDR.
Dragon Quest XI review. Wait, go back.
Yeah. Wait, could you pull up like the side-by-side comparison? Because I think that's actually pretty gross.
Yeah, I'm gonna put
It's in the messenger.
Yeah,
I could go through it in the Discord if you want.
I'm putting it in the Discord right now.
Okay. Not sure if you're willing to show our personal chat on Discord because Steve said some awful things in there.
So yeah, that's the comparison shot. I'm not convinced by this shot in particular. Like,
okay, my interpretation.
The way that they're handling lighting is just clearly completely different.
See, I don't think that's necessarily true, and the developers are saying that it's not.
Also, remember, the game's not out yet. That could very well just be like a heavily compressed YouTube video.
Yeah, it's sort of unknown what the exact sources are for this. And also, like people are like, oh, there's a lot of puddles that are missing and whatever. But the puddles missing and Spider-Man's suit looking different can both be explained by, in one, it's just rained, so Spider-Man is wet and there's more water on the ground. And the other one, it did not just rain, so Spider-Man is dry and there is less water on the ground, which would drastically affect the way lighting plays off his suit. Because the game does have dynamic weather. So I just urge people to keep.
Just quoting me from earlier.
That's me from
This
earlier.
garbage.
The dynamic weather thing, that is known. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, the game does have dynamic weather.
What did LeBron say? You got drowned out.
This is garbage news. The game's gonna be game of the year. Next topic.
It's coming out the same month as Dragon Quest XI, so it'll have its hands full.
I'm good with moving on to the next topic.
Well, game of the year is going to be Smash. So.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Also,
Smash
there's
just past the cutoff.
there's this wonderful little image here where people said that
Let Smash pass the
Actual
cutoff.
Game is game of the year every year for the rest of time.
Sony
You can delete those pictures.
needs to. Yeah, I realize I'm broadcasting the wrong chat because I put your images in the wrong chat for the next thing. So, oh well.
Great, do.
So anyway, yeah, they should put a small puddles label on their games from now on, though. That's really the takeaway from all this. And the last topic, Super Mario Party on Switch will not include Pro Controller support. You must use the Joy-Cons.
Why are we talking about
Better
that?
use the shit out of
I
the
mean,
Joy-Cons.
it annoys me
Those
because I
controllers.
have a Pro Controller and I can't use it, and the Joy-Cons are really uncomfortable. But the
Really?
Joy-Con's kind of unique, and if the games are designed around using it, it would just be weird to make another controller work.
Yeah.
Does every player need two?
One, I imagine.
Yeah, no, I can't
Okay.
imagine them needing.
I mean,
So I think it's the motion controls that are important.
No, yeah.
Yeah.
for sure.
as if you
It's better-
needed any
it's
more
better-
reason to not buy the game.
Though
Wow.
the Pro Controller has 6-axis, I'm pretty sure, motion controls.
Yeah, but you might not be able to, like, you wouldn't.
Do certain motions. Yeah, it would definitely be a little bit of a different experience, but I don't know if there's actually a programmatic problem here necessarily, which was the only thing that would kind of bug me about it. Like, I can't imagine that the game would actually have to program for the controllers two individually.
Right.
I mean, when I first heard about this, I was like, "Oh, it's Mario Party. Who cares? I'm sure the game will be fine."
Yeah,
Well,
but it's more about the controllers being like game, the Joy-Cons being super expensive.
Yeah.
That too.
I mean,
Yeah, how am I
you
supposed to?
Because you can buy third-party third-party Pro controllers and stuff, but I don't know that third-party Joy-Cons exist. Maybe they do.
You need extra Joy-Cons, and you can't play a full game online. Only mini games.
Yeah,
Of course.
that
Any
which
confirmation you can't do that with friends, like a full game?
I don't even want to play with randoms. Like, I can understand why they wouldn't put that in.
Right, I mean with friends
But-
though.
You should be able to set up a game with your friends.
yeah.
So you can't do that.
Supposedly
Why-
you can't.
That sucks.
That's a mistake.
That is a mistake. Third-party Joy-Cons are hit or miss. Yeah, I believe it. Like, I mean, the Joy-Cons are $80 for those who don't know. So
Well,
this is not a cheap. It is not a cheap controller. That's for a pair of Joy-Cons, not per. But 80. I mean, to buy a full set of Joy-Cons costs more than the console. So, well, no, because the console
what?
comes with
What?
what?
Hold on.
80 times 4 is $320.
Okay.
That's more than a Switch. But you only need to actually buy 3 because the Switch comes with Joy-Cons. So,
What are you defining as a full set?
That was my next
a full set is 4 players, 2 Joy-Cons each. That's like the max
I don't
any game would
Right.
reasonably use.
So
They,
eight of
they
them?
come in a
It'll be
pair.
160. What?
They're
Yeah, but
160.
they come in a
Can
pair,
you
but
sync
some
up?
some games use 2 Joy-Cons.
Yeah, so you're saying
Can you
8 total.
sync up like 8 Joy-Cons to a Switch?
Yeah,
at
sure.
once?
I'm sure you can. You can sync up 4 Wii remotes to a Wii U. Or 8 Wii remotes to a Wii U, sorry.
You can?
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah. Smash supports it. There are some, like, Nintendo Land supports 5 Wiimotes for some of its games. So, yeah. It supports it. It's just the indicator lights get a little funny.
Well, I'm so excited because it looks like this Mario Party is returning back to
Yeah,
Mario Party.
back to form.
a good game.
Yeah.
All right. With that, though, we stop talking because it is 8:15, which means our news segment this week is over, dinner. And it's time for Mitch. All right, Mitch, lead us into what our question of the week is.
All right, so pretty much we're looking at difficulty in games was what we decided on. And I wanted to stress that we're not talking about what makes a game challenging, because we pretty much did that last week a lot. Every one of us stood up and just did it. So more specifically here is how, like, difficulty options, how they're selected, and nice.
Ignore that.
Basically, how you select difficulty options, what are good ways to kind of get people to play the difficulty right for them, and when have we gone too far? Speaking of too far, I'll bring up the first image.
The first image.
Wolfen,
yeah, I knew this was going to come up in the difficulty discussion.
And I'll start with the question: is it okay to insult your players?
What is this exactly?
This is the difficulty selection for Wolfenstein: The New Order.
Oh, really? Okay.
If you pick the easiest difficulty, it dresses them up and says, "Can I play, Daddy?"
Well, isn't the whole game like?
And it calls you spineless.
Well, the whole game's like has that style of humor, right? Where it's tongue in cheek.
Definitely fits the game.
Yeah, no, you couldn't do that in any game, but
yeah, I think you can get away with it in this game.
It's very on the nose, but just in general, it's just a good approach. Like, you want people who aren't particularly good at shooters to be able to play them, right?
I mean, that doesn't, like, literally that's 90% of people who play shooters.
Yeah. That's probably true.
I mean, in a general case, I agree with Kat. Like, I'd say no, but if the game is tongue-in-cheek like Wolfenstein, then I think it's fine.
Very easy, difficult setting for the spineless gamer. I did not notice that little extra quip there at the bottom. Really,
It almost discourages you from picking that and scrolling down to the next difficulty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And at that point, why is it even there except to be a joke?
That's true. Which I could almost see, like, a game having, like, a difficulty slider like that, and if you select that, it's just like, what, are you some kind of bitch, and it actually, like, just auto selects you to a higher difficulty. Not so then that's to Larone's point. Then it's like not even a real selection. They could do it that way.
There are a number of reasons that a player may be picking an easier difficulty, not just because they're bad at games. Maybe they just want the story, or they don't have a lot of free time.
And I have done that. I have picked an easier difficulty, either because I'm more interested in the story of the game, or I don't have as much time to play the game due to perhaps hand problems. Because I have done that. I have played games on easy mode because the harder modes are too hard on me for long periods of time.
You'll make a great specimen for later when I talk about accessibility.
Yeah.
Good, because accessibility is a topic I've become increasingly interested in talking about. Surprise, surprise.
I feel like accessibility is the one excuse for like ridiculously easy settings. And even then, I'm sure you're gonna bring up the how in Mario games, like, if you die a certain number of times in a row, they'll just have a thing do the level for you.
Yep.
That's just crossing a line for sure.
Yeah, but we can get to that when we get to that one.
I'd argue against that, actually.
Yeah, I have some. I think there's some nuance to that.
Yeah.
But we can.
So, for now, let's go to the next picture, which is a foil of this one. Now, I'll preface this by saying Mass Effect is a lot more of a story-driven game than Wolfenstein. Wolfenstein is more about the shooty pewty McLooty than Mass Effect is. So wow, this is not a great setup.
No, I don't know why the image is showing up so tiny. So I'm gonna actually just show the Word document where the images are quite a bit larger.
Okay. Well, for now,
Actually, I'll just full screen it.
the menu option there is specifically a story mode. It says, customize your character, experience and control the interactive story without difficult combat.
That's a good way of labeling an easy difficult setting for sure.
Yeah.
So I think that's much more approachable. Again, these are different style games, but I'm trying to be general. I'm picking examples from games that I have personally played because I'm not a
Right.
fraud like Julian.
I mean, I haven't played a lot of games.
Ooh.
Oh, we didn't do the Shenmue watch.
They'll come at the end.
We didn't have
There's
anything.
still time. No, we have to do the Shenmue.
Isn't that the meme?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, okay. We'll do Shenmue Watch after the thing. I'll make sure I announce it. I'll come up with something to say for it. I got you.
Yeah, I think Catlet pretty much has hit my entire presentation. so this is also.
Yeah, I guarantee
They
that
do
that's
this-
a Game Maker's Toolkit video that he just linked in the. Yeah,
It is.
Yeah, the Should Dark Souls Have an Easy Mode video. That
That's
is
my
a
last
very
topic.
good video.
That's my last topic, pretty much. Damn it. Yeah, we're
keep
esports.
going.
All right, so let's move on to the developer intentions.
Okay. So this is a similar thing from Halo, and there's a line here that I want to point out. It says, "This is the way Halo is meant to be played," and I think that's the best way to do this.
I've seen that.
You just straight up tell them, "I like my cat."
Like, this is
You
the
straight-
difficulty we designed the game around.
Yeah, if you want to go harder, if you want to go easy, go for it. But this is what we intended.
Yeah, I don't know.
This is supposed to be a loaded question, so any thoughts? Any games that you think do or don't do this poorly?
I mean, I do like the idea of the developers saying basically that this is where we think the best experience lies. I don't know if I like the wording that this is the way it's meant to be played.
Okay.
Like but like that's kind of pedantic. You know, that's nitpicky to talk about the wording.
Yeah, it's kind of like there's an interesting intersection of games and art where most of the art that we absorb is like doesn't have anything to do with your input. Like
I
you
can
can
see it.
read a book, you could watch a movie, your input doesn't matter, the art is there.
The
And
classic.
so in order to experience the art, you can have any level of ability. And maybe, a more, a person who understands the context better can talk more about the art or something like that. But the fundamental input into your sensory systems is not affected by your level of competency. And that's just not true in video games. So video games, like, I don't think we're having the conversation of are video games art. They are. But your level of competency affects the output in a way that no other art medium has to deal with. So do you want to look at video games as an art medium or as an entertainment medium? As an entertainment medium, I think that, difficulty settings aren't necessarily the best thing. You should experience the game the way that you should experience the game in heroic mode. With this Halo example, you should experience the game in heroic mode as a game. But as an art form, if you're just not skilled enough to experience the game in heroic mode, should you be cut off from experiencing the game at all? And I think that's a really nuanced topic because video games are both games and art. Like, if you're really, really bad at chess, then you just don't get to experience a lot of the nuance of the game of chess because you're really bad at it, and no one's going to be like, oh, we should make an easier version of chess. We'll call it checkers. But like, they don't dumb down chess to make it easier. And that's where like the game aspect of video games come in. Should you dumb down the game to make it easier? I don't know. I'm just kind of rambling at this point in time, but like,
Yeah, and
just because there's an intersection of art and interactivity, video games are in this weird gray area that other forms of entertainment don't have to be.
yeah, I'm not sure if I'm the biggest fan of the chess example, since
Yeah.
chess as a game isn't inherently hard. It's harder based on who you're playing against. So you can affect your difficulty level by playing with people who are either worse or people who are better. So, like, in the case of a game, you're playing against something that's rigid. Like, the game is as difficult as it has been programmed to be. It's not exactly nuanced based on, the game didn't have to, like, get better or anything to beat your ass.
Right.
But
I was trying to think of like a game that's not a video game that you're up against a static opponent, and like I didn't immediately think of anything.
that is also an interesting point brought up by Kala, is with board games or chess games, you can sort of arbitrarily bend the rules as you please while playing to make the game more fun or accessible. I mean, we play different versions of chess to change up the game all the time. You can't actually do that in a video game for the most part. Like, you usually don't have very much control over the rules of the game.
Right.
There are some
Yeah, I remember hearing.
codes. You have the difficulty select. Yeah, you have ways.
Yeah, you have some. You have some.
rules, too.
And
Someone
difficulty is
put it-
one of those.
Someone put it really well in a video that I watched where they said, like, sports have rules, video games have laws.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that. It's like the laws
So
are
rules,
like,
you just like, oh, I don't like this rule, we're not going to play with it.
yeah, you have to follow it because it's part of the game. Yeah.
Yeah, you
Video
actually
game.
can't get around it without modifying the game, which isn't, like, a trivial thing to do.
Right. I don't know. I feel like sometimes an easy difficulty can cheapen a game.
Oh, I agree.
Yeah, it for sure can.
Yeah, but
But
I
at the
mean,
same time, who are you to who are we to say, like, what cheapens the experience for one person over another?
yeah, and that person might not be concerned with the gameplay at all. So like to them, that isn't really cheapening the experience. It's just making it easier for them to experience something about the game they enjoy more, like the story.
Some people are
Perfect
really
example.
don't like overcoming challenges.
Perfect
Right.
example is me in Witcher 3. That game has some of the worst combat I've ever played in the series. So I'd either rather watch someone else play it or play it on story mode because it's actually entertaining then.
Joe isn't here to get triggered.
And there's Joe, who would completely disagree with me, and I think that's one of the strongest things that video games have. Is
I was recently recommended by somebody to play Witcher 3 because it is, quote, the best game they've ever played.
Yeah, that is literally all I hear from everyone.
It's not a wild opinion.
No.
You are the only person I've heard, Mitch, to say that Witcher 3 is not the greatest game they've ever played.
I mean, I think it's a good game. I think it's a good movie, but that's not what we're here to talk about.
Also, only $40.
Go watch one of our old episodes.
That's true. We do have
I
an
did
old
rant at
episode.
it before.
Yeah, that's true. There is an old episode, probably like episode 10 or something. Man, we have a lot of episodes. I keep forgetting that, like, we do have a lot. This is our 34th episode, or 33rd episode. It's crazy. But anyway,
All right, move on to a different style of selecting difficulty, and that's just different than easy, but it's an easy mode where they change the gameplay, so to speak. Like, for example, Jake, you're an expert on mellow mode. I remember you using it. Do you care to explain what mellow mode is in Yoshi's Woolly World?
yes, so Mellow Mode in Yoshi's Woolly World, you can activate it at any time to help you get past a level that is particularly difficult. And it does...
That game has an easy mode.
Yeah, and it does this... it does this by... So the game is a platformer. The way easy mode works in Woolly World is it gives Yoshi wings. As you would imagine, wings are really good in a platformer because it prevents you from having to do any platforming. As you can fly from
I will
place to
note-
place.
Even though Jake did use this mode, he still could not beat the level.
That is just... It was still hard. Okay.
Is that one of the extra levels, Jake?
No. It was...
It-
The
it was
level
a-
wasn't hard because of platforming. It was a maze-like level.
It was a vertical maze.
Yeah, it was a vertical maze. I kept getting lost, so I got a little sick of it. So I went into mellow mode, so that way I could just not have to platform around and just focus on the thing. And I still couldn't figure it out with the wings, so then I went back to normal mode and beat it normally.
Because the wings don't give you extra height, so you still couldn't make the jumps to like
Oh,
the
that's
moving
funny.
elevator.
Yeah. That is important. The wings don't actually allow you to jump higher than you normally would. They just make it so your jump slash like way like basically once you're in the air, you can just kind of glide straight. So it doesn't allow you to like break the level necessarily. I mean, it kind of does for some sections because you can just sort of skip over like things that would have been like disappearing platforms or something, but it doesn't like allow you to totally skip parts of the level by getting a height that you otherwise wouldn't have been able to get.
Right.
They thought of everything. But yeah, I think this might be taking it too far.
I need to go let the cat out of the room real quick. I'll be back.
I disagree.
All right, what do you got for me, Julian?
I mean, like I said before, like who are you to say that this takes it too far for the person playing this mode? You know, what if they find enjoyment from Woolly World's art style instead of the gameplay? It's just another option you don't have to do.
Yeah, I feel like it's to a lesser of extent. Like story modes, I get because like the game has a story, an interesting story to tell that has gameplay elements mixed in and all that. Woolly World doesn't have a story. It is
Sure.
a platformer game through and through. That's all it is. I mean, it's got a good art style and stuff too, and that is honestly one of the high points of the game. But I mean, okay, I get what mellow mode is for. It's really for kids.
It's for like your 3-year-old or 4-year-old cousin who
Yes,
can't
so
play
they
video
can get
games.
more enjoyment out of the game.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the reason
mellow
is
mode.
mellow mode is supposed to be a mellow way of playing through levels.
So I brought up mellow mode to contrast my next point, where mellow mode is always available. You can always open up the menu, you can always go to it, you can always turn it on. Compare that to Super Mario Galaxy 2, this little space Rosalina thing that will only show up to insult you after several failed attempts.
Oh, that's in
And-
Sonic Lost World.
Yeah, there's a lot of games with this kind of thing. Though this
Yeah.
one might not be a perfect example because you don't. It actually just plays the game for you.
Yeah,
You don't-
this
It doesn't make it easier. It just goes for you. But I think the main idea here is, should it always, if it's in the game, should it always be available, or should it only show up after several failed attempts?
yeah, I don't think I like this type of easy mode. Like the first, so I did actually encounter this not in Galaxy but in New Super Mario Bros. U. Cuz New Super Mario Bros. U also does this. And like even as like a, like adult and whatever at the time, I felt a little bit insulted when the game's like, "Hey, you want Luigi to give you some help?" And I'm like, "Okay." And that it doesn't actually tell you, at least in that game, that he's about to
No,
beat the
yeah.
level for you.
Yeah, no,
But that's what he goes
remember
ahead
that.
and does. Like I watch him, and he's like going through the level, and I'm like, "Oh, okay, I get it." They're showing me like a good path through the level, and then he gets to the flag, and the level ends. I'm like, "What?" they showed me how to do it, and then they're like, "Yeah, you probably couldn't have done that." they like. I think that's the part. Like, if they just showed Luigi do it and then said, "Okay, now you give it a shot," maybe that would be a little better. Or if they like had Luigi like guide you like through each section, like he'd jump through the section and then you go through it, and then you'd catch up to him, and then he'd show you how to do the next one or something like that. I don't know. Him just beating the level for you though, that felt.
Yeah, no, that's really, really bad.
That
That's what I don't like.
I did not like that at all.
I'm more in favor of this if it's an option already available before you before you attempt the level.
And honestly,
It
at that
feels
point, why not
exciting.
just have a skip level button? Like, why even
That's
have
basically what it
Luigi
is, yeah.
play through the level for me? Like, I get that they want to show off what the rest of the level looks like to you, I guess, but come on.
I just don't get why that's what they went with. Like,
And
you
they
think
went
you'd
through this
put
for
that-
numerous games now, so, like, Nintendo obviously thinks this is a good idea to some
they're,
degree.
they're
Right.
clearly trying to make it more kid friendly, right? But like, you don't see this in difficult games. You don't see it in Yoshi's Island on the Super Nintendo. You see it in Super Mario Bros. U, an insanely easy game. You see it in Woolly World, an insanely easy game.
I think it's
Well,
more
Willow World
for-
doesn't have it, though. And I think Mellow Mode is a way
that's
better implementation of this.
Yeah,
than,
I'll agree to that.
I think it's more in modern games than.
Well, they're kind
newer
of doing away with it, other than Donkey Kong, but that's still kind of a Wii U game.
Yeah. And the early SNES titles also had a little bit of a different audience than
Fire Emblem has the Phoenix mode where
I mean, when I was 8 years old and I was playing Super Mario Bros. NES, because for some reason I had an NES when the 64 was out. Like, I still really enjoyed that game. I don't think kids are that different. I think they would still be able to take a challenge.
Oh yeah, no. I mean, I'm sure they
They
can.
might not win, but they'd probably enjoy it. I know
Yeah,
I
I
never
know.
beat the original Mario Bros.
but you're a gamer, right? Like,
But I was like 8 at the time. That meant nothing to me.
fair enough, I guess.
Yeah, but these easy modes, at least to some degree, I think, are meant for people even younger.
Yeah, I can agree to that.
So it's not.
I don't know. I was real young when I started playing like Mario platformers. I didn't beat a single one. They were all way too difficult for me.
Yeah.
But
But, like, did you care?
had a lot of fun with them.
Yeah, and I sort of see where Nintendo's coming from, where they might want to give people more, gratification or whatever by having them actually like accomplish
What-
goals in the game.
Quick
Eventually,
refresher, what is Odyssey's assist mode?
Odysseys? I don't know
Yes.
anything about Odyssey's assist mode. It's more like mellow mode. Yeah.
I didn't even know Odyssey had an assist mode.
Yeah, it does. I completely forgot it did. I never used it.
Interesting.
Yeah.
What about the assist mode in Mario Kart? Mario Kart 8 Deluxe.
Assist mode?
What even is that?
What?
It's
That's annoying.
It helps you drift or something?
you don't have to drift. You don't
It
really
steers
have.
for you.
Yeah, it steers
Oh.
for you, basically.
It steers for
It
you?
steers?
Like it autocorrect. Like if you get too close to the edge, it's sort of like the easy mode in I can't remember the name of the game, so I'm not even gonna try to say it. But yeah, basically, it is. Sorry, a thing just popped up on my computer, and it was very loud and annoying to everyone watching. Okay. Basically just you get too close to the edge, and it automatically steers you.
Did the stream just die?
The stream died?
No, it didn't die. It's fine.
Yeah, it's still live.
Yeah.
Oh.
Oh, wait. Yeah, it's like I hate Windows.
Can you still hear me?
Okay, it's back. It was they could hear us. They just
Okay.
couldn't see the screen.
Yeah, the screen.
Oh, I'm out of images, so. Okay, so this next topic was kind of added right before the show started and by suggestion of Jake. That was, should games be allowed to alter difficulty without your permission? And the examples we have are rubber banding AI in racing games, where if you're winning, they'll just kind of teleport right back up to you or go really fast.
I wouldn't call that difficulty.
Or Left 4 Dead's, well, I don't really know what they call them, but there's an AI in Left 4 Dead that says, "Oh, you're doing well. Maybe you should send a tank your way.
Yeah.
You're doing
A lot of
poorly,
people call it.
Here's an extra pipe bomb."
It's usually called automatic difficulty adjustment or something along those lines, where the game, in a hidden way, makes things more difficult
Okay.
if you're doing well, or makes things a little easier, a little more laid back if you're doing poorly.
See, I understand what the developer is intending to do. Like, they're trying to make the game, just more challenging and more engaging. But at the same time, it feels like the game is punishing you for doing well. So I don't know how I feel about this.
Yeah.
So
I
rubber
think,
banding
I
it.
think it has to do very well. I think they have to do it a very particular way if they want to make the game engaging throughout. Because if you're doing so well and it's just boring, like it's the classic RPG. I have all these items and nothing to use them on. It's like, well, make me use the items that make the guy who has been using them not need to. I don't know. I think that need to be paired with some sort of transparency that telling you,
For
wow,
RPG,
you're doing really good. I don't know.
Yep.
You know,
I. Yeah. I don't know. I think it's probably theoretical to do well. Maybe. Like in a more hidden way, but I don't. I don't know that it's a good idea.
I think the RPG example is kind of a silly example because
I can agree to that.
uh, you can kind of control the difficulty by controlling how much you grind. Like you
Yeah.
could just grind in the opening area until all your characters are max level and then breeze through the game. But like in an action game, like an action adventure game, you can't really affect the difficulty by playing more other than increasing your own skill.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And so like when it auto adjusts the difficulty in like an action adventure game,
Right. Like if you
then
want
it
the
can feel
challenge,
like
you
it's
invest
punishing
in
you.
it,
Then
right?
it can feel. It could either be like the game's just poorly designed if it's too easy, or the game is. If the game does have like a difficulty adjustment, then the game is punishing you for doing well. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like if you look at Elder Scrolls Oblivion, that game handles difficulty kind of ridiculously poorly.
Mm.
Classic.
Some explanation.
So
You
in
can screw
Oblivion,
yourself over if you don't micromanage everything.
the enemies, every enemy scales with your level. So the game never gets like any difficulty change. Just everything always stays relative to your character,
interesting.
which makes like progressing through the game feel really unsatisfying. It's not like if
Well,
something was too hard for you to do, then it's just gonna remain too hard.
well,
Whereas
they
like
scale it by replacing the little guys with bigger guys.
yeah,
So you are fighting different things that are a higher level, and when those little guys show up, they are still much weaker than you. So you
but
stop
like
fighting scamps and you start fighting alligators, and
in
then the
an
bandits are
open
walking
world
around with Daedric armor.
Yeah, it gets dumb
Continue.
when bandits have the best armor.
in
Continue.
in an open world RPG, I want to like run into a level that's or a dungeon that's too difficult for me, and then come back later, and all of a sudden I can handle the dungeon
100%.
good.
That's what mods are
Really
for.
good.
That's what mods
I mean,
And
what
so
the Elder Scrolls do so right, though, is that they give you that sense of wanderlust. You can go anywhere and find something interesting. I don't know.
yeah,
It's just
I don't
this
know.
debate about Elder Scrolls, so continue.
Yeah, no, I just don't think Oblivion handles difficulty scaling well at all.
That I completely agree with.
And
Because
like,
we were talking about difficulty scaling, because I've been getting into Castlevania a little bit because of the Smash Direct, and I've been playing Aria of Sorrow, and that game, it's a platformer like RPG. It's like your character levels up, but it plays like a platformer, and each new area you go to, it feels like it was like how do I explain? It just feels like you should be there. Like the game sets each area to where you should be level wise, even though it's like it's not a traditional RPG. So I like when games make the area you're in like you know it feels like you should be there in terms of difficulty, if that makes sense.
Yeah, a bit. Catlet in the chat mentioned that Breath of the Wild. Uh, his claim is that Breath of the Wild does Wanderlust better and handles progression better.
progression, yes, Wanderlust, no.
See, I kind of disagree on the progression part,
Do we know what?
but only to a
Progression-
degree.
I think its progression is very. I don't know. It's been a while since I played, so I might be talking out of my my esports right now. But I remember the enemies would always kind of just become complete pushovers when at the moment they stopped one-shotting you.
Yep.
Yeah, that's
I'd
yeah,
agree with
that's
that.
kind of how it is. The problem with Breath of the Wild's combat and enemies is that it has a lot of things that are easily abusable, and I think just about everyone discovers. Like especially the one-shot thing. How once you learn that most enemies in the game cannot one-shot you because of the one heart thing or the whatever. I can't remember how it one heart, half heart, or
If you get hit at max health, you will live every shot. Unless it's a double hitting move. Like
I think it's even more lenient than that. I think it's like 3 hearts or more, and you can never be one shot against by certain enemies.
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
Also,
late game
like-
difficulty is really bad, and I think also it does difficulty scaling really poorly for bosses.
Because it's additive too for like armor. Like if you have 5 more health or 5 more defense, you lose 5 less hit points instead of it being like a percentage of damage.
Okay, so you have to be full health. Either way, it doesn't matter because full restores are really easy to come by in the late game.
Yeah.
I
In the
mean,
early
late game. By
you-
that point, I was easily able to parry, and I had a full set of armor and stuff.
I mean, you can anything that says hardy in it can give you a full restore, and you can get those almost immediately after leaving the beginning area.
Yeah.
It's not very far away.
Also, the dungeon crawling in like Elder Scrolls is just way better. Like,
Yeah, dungeons
I
did
don't
leave a
know.
lot
The
to be
shrines
desired.
are just like solve this puzzle. Okay, cool. And then like the dungeons, it's just like find this treasure, like read this story about these explorers who got lost and died here, and then fight their skeletons or their ghosts or whatever. And like the person the 2 towns over is gonna tell you to go to this abandoned mine, and like just wandering around in like I felt like when I strayed from the main quest in Breath of the Wild, there wasn't a ton to do. When I strayed from the main quest in like an Elder Scrolls game, there was always so much to do.
See, here's how I'm going to put the difference. I think they're both very strong at one thing. Skyrim is very good about getting you to that next dungeon and then exploring that dungeon, where Breath of the Wild is just good about moving you around the world, not really caring what you find, if that makes sense.
I'd agree with the Breath of the Wild. I never played Elder Scrolls games like it.
Yeah. And I mean, the Breath of the Wild side quests, I mean, you get some of that in its side quests, but a lot of them are pretty weak.
Well, I think most, if not all, the side quests in Breath of the Wild are pretty weak.
Yeah,
Like, I can't really remember any of them.
They were all very poor.
Yeah.
I had to like find a horse.
there's
wasn't-
only a couple that are pretty good, to
Like
be
that's
honest.
not the reason why people like Breath of the Wild, though. So I don't think it's worth really talking about.
I had to
Yeah.
find
I did.
a
I'm pretty sure I
horse.
did all of the side quests. I'm
Yeah.
trying to like remember.
Funny
which
enough,
ones.
one of my coworkers, that's literally the only thing they've done in the game is just attempt to do all the side quests. And like
Yeah.
haven't done anything else in the game basically. They didn't they had almost all the side quests done before they had even gotten all the towers. Like so different people play that game very differently sometimes.
I think that's a sign of a good game.
It is a sign of a good
Yeah.
game. But
I like Breath of the Wild. Yeah.
yeah, but I think a lot of the side quests aren't all that interesting. Like a lot of them they just tell you what to do exactly.
I like taking the pictures of the different fossils around the world. That was cool.
Different fossil.
Fossils, weapons,
So I'm kind of confused now.
weapons.
No,
and
there are-
enemies?
It's been
Fossils?
There's
like a
this-
year since I played that game.
There's this guy in some like stable that tells you he needs to find the 3 fossils of the
Oh, the
Leviathan.
behemoth.
Yeah.
the Leviathan.
Yeah, I thought that was
third,
cool.
that third one was a total pain in the esports to find.
What was the third one? Was that the sand one?
It was the one in the snowy mountain area where you had to
Yeah,
go
yeah.
inside the mountain to find it.
I'm pretty sure Lionel was like guarding that one.
Yeah,
I think. Yeah.
but like, cause you
Anyway,
could find them.
At the risk of not becoming more off topic,
Sorry.
before this turns into a Breath of the Wild podcast, try to center this back onto the difficulty discussion.
Yeah, we
Uh,
kind of
let's
cut
see.
off difficulty.
So I'm gonna move past scaling because I think we said a lot pretty on that. Let's talk about accessibility. Should disabled people be allowed to play video games?
Yes.
Huh? I mean,
No, ban them.
All right, I'll change the question to something more serious. Is what are good ways that video games allow disabled people to enjoy them without hindering the enjoyment of good old normal folk?
Thank you for putting it that way,
Um,
Mitch. I really appreciate that.
There's
Different
nothing wrong with being
controls?
disabled.
For just so anyone who doesn't know me in person is listening, I'm not actually disabled, but I do have chronic pain in my hands, so it causes problems when playing video games for longer periods of time, or video games that are more intense in input and stuff. I just really can't do anymore, at least not for the time being.
What happened to Can't you play when you drink?
Well, that's different. Also, not always true. So that's neither here nor there. Yeah, sometimes I can play video games just fine. Sometimes I just do anyway, even though I really shouldn't, and pay the consequences later. It's just how it is. But
This is
for single player games,
yeah,
like there's a lot of games that I have been interested in that I just haven't been able to really play because it hurts my hands too much to play it.
I'm sorry.
And or just it hurts more than it's worth, or you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Like, or not worth the risk. Just this might, cause me more discomfort than I desire. So I'm not even looking at it. That's part of the reason why, like, I'm not getting Spider-Man, like, because I know how that game's combat works and stuff. It's not really meant for people who have hand pain. It's a button mash fighting
fine, just
system.
gonna watch.
It's not really good for that. And yeah, I don't know. I feel like I might have a slightly different opinion on this than a lot of people here.
I'm not disabled, so I don't really have an opinion. I think they
Yep.
should make attempts to help them, but I don't know what they should do.
Wait, what's your opinion, Jay?
Well, I mean, my opinion
Did
is
you not just
basically
listen to what he said?
yeah, basically what I said. Like,
Oh.
I think games should, when possible, have easier modes in the game that are especially games that would otherwise be like too fast paced for a lot of people to be able to do. Now, there's an asterisk to that because I think there are some games where like the difficulty is too important to let go on. And the funny thing about my perspective here is it's not actually for instance, Dark Souls I don't think is problematic in its difficulty because that game, if it was easier, wouldn't be any really more or less hard on your hands in particular.
Final topic. I will talk about that.
Yeah, but all I'm getting at there is like
Alright.
game. I know mellow mode is used in Yoshi for a version where you have wings and stuff, but like a mellow mode type thing for action games is I think not necessarily a bad idea, but a lot of modes like that could probably be difficult to do right, and some games are really pinned on their difficulty or surrounded by it. Like I don't think Undertale should have a mellow mode. It just
Well,
probably shouldn't.
I think Undertale does in a sort of way, but that's a
Well, okay. Undertale is a very strange piece of game design to talk about because it does a lot of things that a lot of games just do not do.
After I binge about Dark Souls, I'm going to ask you guys. I said this before the thing to talk about a game you think does it interestingly. You can talk about Undertale then.
Well, I don't know if that's the game I would use for my example, but
Okay.
Because-
Dan can steal it.
because that game, the different quote unquote difficulty levels change the story. So like that's to actually get the whole story, you can't play the game on the quote unquote easiest difficulty. So that's sort of a really weird example.
Tis true.
But yeah, and also I think that this difficulty only works for single player games. and I kind of do want to bring up after you talk about your topic, Mitch. I know you didn't write it down, but difficulty, basically difficulty sliders in multiplayer games, aka handicaps,
Ooh.
which I think is an interesting topic to finish it out on.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll go to my good example. So I'm gonna skip the investment one because that was kind of far-fetched, anyways. Just like Monster Hunter has too many menus. People think it's too hard because of it. Whatever. So I want to explain why I think Dark Souls does difficulty very well. And again, I'm not talking about challenge. I just mean basically there are two ways that I look at it, and this all comes back from the whole should Dark Souls have an easy mode debate a couple of years or whatever ago. And the main thing that me and this random person on the internet were able to come to is that one, you have different play styles in Dark Souls. So if you don't want to go, sword and shield, like you want to make the game a little easier for yourself, pick up a staff and shoot lightning bolts at it. You'll find the game is much easier if you do that. Or summon help.
Oh yeah, the summon help thing. I kind of forgot that existed.
If you're clever, you can get to the boss without someone coming to kill you. Certainly makes it more tense. I don't know if I'd say it makes it easier with the people coming to actively hurt you, but
that is a concern with that kind of thing.
It's a concern, but you can be made easier. If you want to make it harder, drop your shield. It's far more efficient because if you're playing Sword and Shield, you're kind of playing it like a Legend of Zelda game where you're just kind of sitting there and waiting for the enemy to become vulnerable rather than making them vulnerable, which is a much more difficult thing to do, but just as viable.
Right.
No, you have options like that, and that's kind of the point here is you can make the game harder or easier not by an arbitrary thing in the menu that says the enemies now do double damage, but by changing how you actually play the game.
Absolutely.
All right, so we got 3 minutes. Quick, Jake, your topic. Or if someone else wants to list a game.
Well, yeah, I did have one in mind, but I'll let someone else go first.
Well, I haven't played that many games that adjust the difficulty based on gameplay, but I can kind of talk about Samus Returns with the Aeon abilities. So, like, in that game, you have these abilities called Aeon abilities, which, Samus Returns is a remake of Metroid 2 on the Game Boy. And they introduced these abilities called Aeon abilities, which are like these super moves that Samus can do. Like, she can slow down time, and she has this super laser that she can use, which makes the game significantly easier. You don't have to use these abilities, but it does make the game easier. So, I don't know. I don't think there's an easy mode in Samus Returns either. So, like, but there is a hard mode and a fusion mode. So, in a sort of way, you can kind of change the game based on the game. Well, change the difficulty of the game based on the gameplay. Other than that, I can't really think of any examples. Yeah. Sorry for rambling.
It's okay.
You're good. I don't know if Dan had anything, or Larone had a game in mind.
Not
With like dynamic difficulty changing?
No, not dynamic difficulty, just a game that you think does difficulty well.
Or bad.
Or, yeah, super poorly.
Or bad, okay.
I mean, one of my things that I really hate is when there's like 10 difficulty. When it's like
yeah.
story very
Yeah.
easy, kinda easy, a little normal,
So you
sort
mean
of hard,
You mean like
hard,
Super Smash
very hard,
Bros?
Nightmare, Mania, Impossible. Like
It's like Super Smash Bros.
Super Smash Bros.
you
has
can
that.
condense it to 4.
Or Civilization.
Okay, well, Civilization's
Oh.
actually kind of a funny example. Because Civilization,
Ooh.
like, almost needs that. Like, the thing with Civilization is the skill ceiling it's a strategy game, so the skill ceiling gets, like, so much higher as you play the game more and more. Like,
Yeah, I know.
there actually
Yeah.
really are, like, that. Like, each of those level bumps is meaningful for a lot of people.
The first, there should be one difficulty easier than Prince. IMO.
One difficult. Prince is like the 4th difficulty
It
level.
means an extra
Yeah.
one.
Oh, an
So
extra one.
it should be the 2nd difficulty, is what I'm saying. There should only be one difficulty easier than Prince.
Oh,
Gotcha.
okay.
Yeah, I would kind of
that's
agree to
an
that.
awful idea.
I kind of agree to that, but then
Someone
again,
who-
we're better at like to
Yeah.
somebody who's like new to strategy games, that might not be true.
As someone who's terrible and could only beat them on the current easiest difficulty in Civ 5, I say add 4.
Yeah. So there are 2 sides to that coin there.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I think Prince is Prince is the fair one, right? Where you don't get any advantages or disadvantages, right?
Yeah. The one next above it, I think, is. It also depends on which Civ game you're talking about. The different Civ games have different things in their difficulty.
Yeah, I don't know.
We could talk about Smash 4 and the difficulty slider. I think that's interesting.
I don't know a lot. I don't remember what Smash 4 does.
So in classic mode, you can change the difficulty of the game based on a slider, and it's like you gamble coins like to play harder
Oh,
difficulties,
that's
yeah.
right.
It's like Kid Icarus Uprising.
That's weird.
I
I
actually
don't-
really do not like that whatsoever.
I have issues with Smash 4's difficulty, but it more has to do with the way they increase the difficulty of the AI. But they are kind of in a corner because of how important playing against people is to get good at Smash. But like level 9 comms can be good and frustrating to fight against, but for the completely wrong reasons. Just like you can't do a frame trap. Like a human doesn't have instantaneous reaction time, so you can you could not throw out a hitbox, wait for the air dodge, and then hit them after their air dodge. But against a level 9 computer, you can't do that because if you don't throw out a hitbox, they're not going to air dodge. And if you do throw out a hitbox, then they're going to air dodge through the attack. There's no semblance.
Yeah, to be fair, the vast majority of people who play this game will never know that.
Just remember the Luigi Com tournament where we all paired up with a Luigi Com. And I forget who, but someone teleported a Sheik and just got grabbed out of it. Just thrown off the stage, and that was it.
Don't you get your double jump back after a grab? Like how did that
you
kill?
do, but
See,
Honestly,
so
I don't know, man.
sorry to
I
bring it back
guess.
to the gambling coins thing. I don't like that the system because it incentivizes players to not play at a higher difficulty and challenge themselves because they have to risk coins to do it. So they're more likely to play the less risky option. Like that's like
Yeah.
a common path for
Yeah.
players is to always take the less risky option if it's available to them.
Like I want to play on the hardest difficulty and fail 100 times because I'm bad, and then get good and not have lost all of my coins because I wanted to get good.
Yeah,
I
don't.
should have the option to just try the same thing over and over again, even if I'm really bad at it.
Yeah, I'm not sure that I like difficulty slider as a risk reward paradigm.
No.
When I was playing classic mode for Smash 4, I think I had so many coins at that point, so it didn't matter to me.
That's 100% true.
Yeah.
It is, to be fair, not actually that big of a gamble. Though when you first are playing the game, it is because you don't have very many coins.
Yeah.
Who cares about coins? I mean, if you have when you're first playing the game, if you don't have very many coins, you might care because you want to try again, and then you can't.
The coins in Smash 4, you use it to buy trophies.
It also
Like,
lets me
trophy shop.
play higher difficulties on
Yeah.
classic mode. Like
It
if
shouldn't-
you don't
it
have enough
shouldn't be
coins,
tough.
you can't play.
What is it, like Crazy Ticket or whatever?
Master
Cra-
orders. And
Master
crazy
orders.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's a whole different thing even.
All
I
right, so
don't
real
know.
quick, first to answer Dan's question, it was on Pokey Floats, and one of them was currently a walk-off. And then secondly, I have one game I want to talk about how just bad it handles difficulty, but I want to do that last. So I want to move on to Jake's new topic, unless we're currently doing that. I
Wait,
couldn't
real
tell
quick, if
I
I
couldn't tell
if,
if that was just off topic or not.
real quick, if I may bring up one game that I think does difficulty well, and this is actually stolen straight from Game Maker's Toolkit. But
Don't worry, I made this whole thing after binging all of his episodes on it. So.
oh, I thought you said you never watched them.
When did I say that?
I don't know, like a few
Oh,
weeks ago.
Well, Catlet was posting like
Oh,
game makers
yeah,
toolkit videos. So
Cal, I was like,
Khaled accused you of cheating, and Jake defended you.
yeah, I
Yeah,
defended
he
you.
did.
I thought that you hadn't watched his videos because I thought I had mentioned him before and you didn't know who he was. All right,
No,
anyway.
not true at all. But
So,
okay.
I think games like Bayonetta do difficulty in an interesting, cool way, where the game, the base game isn't actually all that difficult. Like you can get through most of the game and most of the fights by hitting a single combo over and over again, just by
one or two.
hitting like one or two buttons over and over again. You can get through most of the game that way.
I say that for two, not one.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
But the game, in a lot of then there's a lot of games that do something like this, where at the end of a level it gives you like a grade or a score,
Oh,
and
that's
like for the hard, and especially ones that give you a grade, because I think that's really interesting. Because then like, oh, you got a C plus, and it's like, I got a C plus. Well, like if you're a hardcore player and you want more of a challenge, you can try to get a higher grade. Like
Then
you
should
can.
play Cuphead.
You can like go back and you can like try the level again, but like at it with a new like strategy or a
Fighting
new
style.
fighting style or learning more combos and making your gameplay more dynamic. Like Bayonetta, like you get more points for connecting more difficult combos and like a better variety of combos and stuff, and keeping people up in the air longer and going longer periods of time without taking a hit, stuff like that. And I think that's a cool way of doing difficulty, where the base game isn't like super challenging, but still, like the boss battles are
Yep.
a little more challenging, but the normal gameplay isn't too bad. But then you can make it like you can give yourself a real challenge in a like way in the game. Like you don't have to like make your own arbitrary set of rules or whatever. Like the game's got something for you to like challenge against.
See,
Kind of like
really
the time
like
trials in Tropical Freeze with the gold, silver, and bronze medals. Love that.
I didn't even think about talking about that.
Yeah.
See, I really like that because it very much contrasts the whole earlier point of the mellow mode stuff, where instead of making an easier game easier, they take an easy game and they make it harder for people who are looking for that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I really like that style of
Yeah,
difficulty.
I like that.
that's cool.
All right, sorry to.
Like I said, you should
I
play
feel like I
Cuphead.
talked a lot this topic, but I have more to say than I expected.
We all
so
do.
I think you were gonna add a topic at the end. Do you want to do that?
Yeah, sure. I guess I'll introduce the. So there's a type of difficulty slider in multiplayer games, which a lot of multiplayer games call a handicap system or something similar, where you can give quote unquote disadvantaged players a leg up by giving them extra items or more health, or make them harder to kill, or make the game steer for them, or stuff like that. And where does that fit into all of this? Especially when it comes to like what about auto difficulty for something like that?
I don't like auto difficulties. I think options are
Yeah,
fine.
no. I mean,
Yeah, if it's an option, it's fine.
Well, I only bring the auto difficulty up because there is a game that we play that has
What, Rage?
this a little bit. No,
Is it
not
Rage?
Rage.
no, not really.
Not Rage.
That's a good example,
Right
though.
game.
Items in Mario Kart. When you're in first place or like closer to first place, you get worse items than when you're further
Didn't Mario
behind.
Kart 8 like mess that up?
Mario
No,
Kart-
you
I
still
know.
get coins and bananas in first place.
They
Yeah.
had an
The
item
thing
that
Mario
could
Kart 8 does-
destroy the blue shell.
I thought that Mario Kart 8 did it so that it's not your position, it's your distance from first.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
if you're
Mario
in
Kart
second
8 is
place,
your
you're
distance.
way behind.
I swear
You
I
can
got a
still
bullet
get-
bill in third place.
Yeah.
Yeah,
If
if
you're
the,
far
if the
enough,
person in
it's your
first is
distance.
like way ahead, then yeah.
It's the only thing that matters is your distance from first, not
didn't know
your
that.
place.
That's an interesting way to do it. I don't know if that's better or worse, but I also don't really play Mario Kart, so
I think it's
double dash.
probably.
I think that's better.
I think it's probably better because like you wouldn't like if everyone's in a really tight race and like first through like they're trying to avoid the situation where all of a sudden like a bunch of people like who are like not even that far behind first get stars or a gold mushroom or something and just like really get a huge lead just because they got lucky.
Yeah.
So I
They
think
got
that's what they
lucky
were
when
trying to
was
avoid.
seventh, and seventh was really close to first.
And it helps avoid the situation where like you're in second place or first place and you're doing really good and then you end up in 12th all of a sudden because a huge barrage of items shows up behind you. And that does happen in Mario Kart 8, of course, but it's less frequent. Unless the person in first is really far ahead and you're in the big cluster behind, then it'll happen again. But it's Mario Kart. It's chaotic.
Or you're in first place and
I thought you were referring to
with a blue shell.
the handicap mode in Smash.
Well, that's an option.
but that's optional. In Mario Kart 8, it's not optional. That's just how the game works.
It's what you sign up for when you play Mario Kart 8. Like, I didn't even consider that as a difficulty slider, so to speak.
Right, but that's sort of why I was posing it as, is it?
It's not. It's just the game.
It's how the game is made, yeah.
If I'm a really good player and I get hit by 3 red shells in a row and now I'm in last, I have the opportunity to get an item and capitalize as a really good player.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, it depends on, like, if it's, like, the last lap and you're right next to the finish line.
I mean, yeah, there's bullshit RNG, but
yeah.
that's going to happen.
Yeah, and I agree that it's part of the game. It's fundamental of the game. But I think the same argument could maybe be made for Left 4 Dead. Like, maybe the automatical difficulty changing is just inherent. That's just part of the game. It's part of the game's identity. It could be in a similar way. I'm not saying that necessarily is or isn't, but
Okay.
That's
I think
just
it-
part of Mario Kart. It's like complaining about Mario Party. Or you could play Mario Party 4 where I was in first and I kept getting the genie and everyone was mad. And I shit on everyone. I got the boo too. I literally every time I went to the shop, I was in first place. I got the boo crystal.
I want to be clear. I'm not hating on how Mario Kart does anything. I think it's fine. I think it's good.
I didn't say you were.
No, I don't know. People are. I just want to make it clear that, like, I don't hate that Mario Kart, and I don't think people necessarily do. I just think it's a form of auto difficulty, which I don't think is inherently bad. It's just kind of is in a way. Like Bullet Bills, especially, like it basically is the Luigi thing for a short period of time. It takes control for you. Yeah, it's my least favorite item too.
The bullet bill?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It plays the game for you for like 15
For
seconds.
like
for like 5 seconds.
seconds.
Yeah. Still,
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't need to do that.
But the thing is, casuals. I say casual lightly because I'm a casual Mario Kart player, but like bad Mario Kart players go ape shit for bullet bill. They're like, yes, I got bullet bill.
Yeah, no, people
Awesome.
definitely
This
do.
is so much fun.
Also, in Mario Kart 8,
Like how you-
the
I thought
bullet bill
from
lasts
casual
longer
to
the
bad
farther.
player.
Bullet bill is just a bad item that plays the game for you. Anyone who says otherwise is wrong.
This is why you should play All Stars Racing Transfer.
Yeah, I mean, it's basically like getting a star with less control. That's what it does.
I like the bullet bill, but
Stars are
I
just
consider
much better.
myself
A star is just a better version of bullet bill. Like
It is in the hands of a capable player.
I
no,
actually
I'm
argue
not
the
saying
bullet
better
bill
as in like does more for you. I'm saying better as in better like creates more fun gameplay.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
It's but I don't think that's what the bullet bill is meant for. Like the bullet bill also in Mario Kart 8 at least lasts longer. Like if you're like extra far behind,
Yeah.
which like it kind of shows like that really like tries to show like what it's for. It's for the people who are like really falling behind or really can't keep up with the rest of the people playing.
I really probably have a little bit too much of an irrational hatred for bullet bill, but I really hate bullet bill.
I mean, I used to love Bullet Bill when I was a little kid and sucked at the game, so I get why it's there. Like, I don't like it that much now, but it doesn't bug me that much because I remember, and I also occasionally play with people who are absolutely garbage and get really happy when they get a Bullet Bill because it gets them back on the center track and gives them a little bit more footing, I guess. Especially if they get one in a difficult section where they fall off the stage easily or whatever.
I don't think that Mario
Or when-
Kart can be
or when you-
analyzed from a competitive standpoint. It's just
It
too fun.
absolutely
Yeah.
can. Maybe it shouldn't be.
Are we talking about competitive or just difficulty?
I'm not talking about competitive Mario Kart because, like,
I mean, I think you certainly
I-
overlaps.
yeah, it overlaps a little bit. I think the competitive aspect of Mario Kart is not like so much head-to-head as it is time trial stuff. But I mean,
Well,
there are
yeah,
people who
like
do
pure
head-to-head competitive
competitive.
Mario Kart, but like that's not where the real like the fiercest competition in Mario Kart is. It's really the time trials. But I mean, feel free to argue with me if you think I'm wrong. But
See, I consider myself I don't know about competitive, but hardcore, I guess, Mario Kart player.
Yeah, and I think there's
Again,
definitely a lot of hardcore, but I think that's
Yeah.
different than competitive, to a degree.
I don't know. I got
Uh,
pretty decent at Mario
yeah.
Kart. Good game.
Yeah, it is a good game.
It's one of the only video games I'm good at.
Same.
Mario Kart and
Smash.
Smash Bros. Are the only games I'm good at.
Same. Mario Kart and Smash Bros. And Beat Saber.
You guys
I
are
don't
good
even got
platformers,
Beat Saber.
and Zelda and stuff.
What?
You guys are good at Zelda and platformers and stuff, right?
I mean, I guess I'm good at
Speed
Ocarina of
running.
Time.
It's too off topic.
That's
You're
pretty
good
off
at beating.
topic.
You're good at beating Ocarina.
Well,
of Time.
that is an example of finding difficulty in games that aren't difficult. Ocarina of Time is not a hard game. However, there are people like me who have made that game ludicrously hard.
Yeah, it's kind of just like the spirit of speedrunning is.
Yeah.
This is this game I love that I want to. I don't know.
Yeah.
I think Super Mario 64 and Odyssey are great examples of that, but I won't go into why.
Yeah. Let's get back on track and
Do we?
So
I mean-
in Mitch's
on.
final.
Okay.
my final meme topic. All right, the worst game, in my opinion, to handle difficulty is two games actually. It's Pokemon Black and White 2.
Interesting.
So they
Wow,
actually
okay.
have an easy and a hard mode. And let me ask you, how do you think? Okay, when you beat the game, what difficulty do you think that should unlock?
Hard.
Oh, is that how we're going with this?
Hard mode.
That is only true for Pokemon Black. Pokemon White 2, you unlock easy mode by beating the game.
That makes absolutely
What?
no sense.
I never. Yeah, okay. I
If-
never beat Black
if-
too because someone said.
I
If you
didn't
have
even-
Pokemon White 2 and you want to play hard mode, you have to find someone who has beaten Pokemon Black 2 and do this little trade thing with them.
That's
Catlet says he gets that.
I don't get that. Why would you unlock an easy
Wait.
mode?
So I'm confused. Is this like New Game Plus? Like, what does this do?
I'm not terribly certain. Let's see. It just says difficulty mode. It decreases the opponent's artificial intelligence and level of their Pokemon. As such, battles become easier.
But does it do that on your next playthrough?
I don't know if you have to start a new game or not.
You buy the
'Cause, like,
version with
I
the
don't know,
mode that
for
you
me-
want, but what if you don't know that ahead of time?
Yeah.
Like that's not something that people like unless that was really heavily advertised or made as the centerpiece. No one's gonna
Also-
know that.
Also, I picked the Pokemon game that has the box legendary I like better.
Yeah.
Like, I
like
shouldn't have to
regular
choose.
box
Do I
art.
want hard mode or do I want the box art I like better? Like, do I want the legendary that I like better? I shouldn't have to make that decision.
No, they have not, for 2 generations, they have not repeated this. So they just decided to put
I'm
both
also
games
a
on
little
easy mode.
surprised that. Now, once you went into details, I totally get why you went this direction. But I was surprised when you brought up difficulty and Pokemon and didn't talk about X and Y.
Yeah, those games are just easy though.
I'm surprised
Yeah,
no one
that's
talked
true.
about
There's
Nuzlocke.
no.
Just don't use the XP
Well,
share.
Okay, Nuzlocks
No,
are
that
fan made.
It's
And I think,
self-imposed. Yeah.
I think that's a very actually good thing to bring up, but I don't know if we have time. We're already 20 minutes over.
No,
Yeah.
we're not overtime. The show's an hour and a half long.
Oh, okay.
We have
Okay.
12 minutes, so we
Sorry.
still have one more news topic to hit.
Yeah, Nuzlocke is one of the coolest fan additions to increase difficulty.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
like, there's not really any good parallels for other games.
Now
Like,
with
there's
ROMs going
Pikmin.
down.
Like in Pikmin, you could do "Don't let any Pikmin die."
Hey.
Yeah, that's-
Fire Emblem, no restarting.
Fuck that.
God, I have no self control. I have never
Save
completed
scumming is
Nuzlocke.
important.
Is it save scumming in Fire Emblem? I
It
feel like
can be.
it's intended.
To
I don't
close the
know.
game and
Actually,
reload your save.
Yeah, in
It's
Fire
just-
Emblem.
Yeah.
well, in Fire
I feel
Emblem,
like
it's not
that's what
save
the
scumming. It's
developers
restarting.
want you
You
to
just
do.
restart the chapter.
Yeah.
You just hope someone died, restart.
Oh, okay.
that's
Wait.
that's not actually save scumming.
Real quick to kind of bring it back to the difficulty discussion. There's one more thought I'm curious about you guys. What you guys think? What do you think of making things difficult by adding a time limit? that cannot be turned off. This is only brought up because
Wasn't-
Catlet mentioned XCOM, and XCOM 2 did this.
Another game maker's theme toolkit video.
Did he talk about XCOM 2?
Yeah, see, that was the point of an entire video.
Nice. I remember hearing about this when it happened. I have not seen the Game Maker's Toolkit on it, though.
I've
Alright.
never played XCOM, but that just sounds annoying.
Yeah, it's a real-time strategy game, and
I mean, chess has a clock on it, right?
yeah, there's basically a timer, which is pretty weakly integrated into the story, which they could have done better with that, for sure. But, I don't know. I personally do not like adding time limits to make things more difficult.
It's not RTS.
It's not...
I mean, I don't think
Yeah,
if-
it's not-
No,
it's
no,
literally
it's not
not
RTS.
RTS.
It's turn-based. It's a turn-based shooter. Yeah.
I think
Sorry.
the time limit is good for getting the best score, but not for win or lose.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
just read the thing about Black and White 2. Sorry to bring us back. And it seems to me that it's a new game plus thing, which is weird to me because I always thought the point of Pokemon was the post game, or the part of Pokemon that I enjoyed the most was the post game.
Now,
Like, I don't want to restart my file after I beat the game. I want to complete my Pokedex, you know, maybe train up a competitive team and like tackle the post game.
yeah, I'd agree with that.
So Black and White 2 just fails miserably on all sides on the difficulty thing.
Yeah. I don't know. Unlocking an easy mode is utterly bizarre. Because even if the game's difficulty doesn't change, playing a game a second time, it will be easier the second time around because you've
Yeah.
gotten better. Like, it's... I don't know, it's so strange.
For example, my first Dark Souls run took me 60 hours. The most recent one took me 5.
Yeah, like, you definitely get better on subsequent playthroughs of a game. Like, a lot better.
Hey guys, I gotta go real quick. I'll be right back.
Okay.
Okay. Well, we'll go ahead and
Yeah.
transition into our final topic of the night. We like, for those who don't frequent the show, we like to end every night. Well, actually, first, two things we ended the show with.
Shenmue Watch.
First, we're going into Shenmue Watch, our weekly little piece on how Shenmue 3 or Shenmue news in general is doing. This week, we have no news. Shenmue is still scheduled to come out in August of 2019. Nothing has changed on that, surprisingly. We expect to see some delayed notifications shortly.
Alright, now smash that like button like it's a QuickTime event, which Shenmue apparently invented.
Shenmue, I'll explain it to you some other time, Kittel. Or you can watch one of our previous episodes where we have talked about Shenmue 3 to absolute death.
It's just we talked about it so much.
We talk about it so much that it's become a meme that we have to
That's
talk
a
about
show,
it every.
yeah.
We have to mention it every show. It's a
It's
game that none of us have any investment in whatsoever. Basically, we're basically all spectators except for Julian. He's really into Shenmue. But you could listen to a prior episode to learn more about that.
How many times have we said that? Listen to a prior episode. It's like the 4th time that's come up.
Might
And
as well
the funny
explain.
thing is, we've never done that. Like any episodes we've ever done, we've
I mean,
like rarely mentioned the past. But this
All it is
episode,
now is that we have a history to draw from.
yeah, I know. It's because we're in season 2 now. We had that hiatus after season 1, so we look back on it. But anyway, our lighthearted topic of the week is Shofu versus Verlisify $1,000 money match. This is stupid. But
Yeah, because it's just a donation.
yeah. For those who don't know, Shofu is a member of the Smash 4 scene. He's fairly well known. He has a lot of
More for Pokemon.
It's
more
for
for Pokemon, but he's still like a figure of the Smash 4 community, and
Sure.
he plays the game like he's like better than probably any of us reasonably are.
It's not a
Except maybe
problem.
except
I
maybe
literally
Dan.
don't even play the game,
Yeah,
so that actually means nothing.
Yeah, maybe Dan, but yeah, but we're all still like competitive players. Like we know tech. Verlisify like actually doesn't know.
He's a casual.
He's like straight up a casual. He's like, he's one of those classic casuals that competitors talk about. Like, oh, I'm the
like
best.
that.
I'm the best in my friend group, or I'm the best on my block. But that doesn't
Clearly,
mean
he's gonna make more than 1,000 just from this happening.
that is very possibly true.
Oh, I like that top comment. Looking forward to seeing Versify get bodied.
Oh, you should explain who Verlisify is. Like,
Yeah, Julian should do that.
And
well,
didn't you just do that?
no, he talked about Shofu, not Verlisify.
Yeah, I said that.
Shofu casual?
No,
Or
No,
is that Versify?
Verlisify's the
Verlisify is the casual.
Okay, then you just explained who he was, didn't you?
Well,
Well,
I mean, yeah, but why he is even known.
Okay, I don't know
Julian
that.
has
So
a
go on.
filler.
So Verlisify is this figure in the Pokemon community who is known for just being toxic.
Ah.
Like he
Evidence.zip.
In the Pokemon community.
in the Pokemon community.
I gotta bring toxicity into Pokemon. It's Pokemon. Come on.
Yeah, it's funny enough. He's like the only like person that I know of who's like extremely negative. Like I don't know. He talks
So
about
why is the definition of low quality clickbait YouTube content?
Yeah, just scroll that onto the stream.
like he gets mad. He brings up allegations for competitive players using hacked Pokemon.
Yeah. He'll be like, "Yo, look, this Pokemon is in a certain ball, and you can't have it in this ball, so he's clearly cheating." Stuff like that.
I think he told someone to drink egg whites or something. I don't know the full context of that story, so I might be talking out of my ass, but
Out of your esports.
or out of my esports, excuse me. But yeah,
It's season 2.
Does,
we watch our language here.
Does anyone know what Smogon is?
Yeah.
I do. Yeah,
Yeah, I know.
He like straight up despises.
right.
Well,
Yeah,
So
Like-
whenever they make a bad
like-
decision, he'll usually make a video on it and why it's
So he
stupid and
hates
stuff like that.
the people who make the rule sets, or
Okay, I don't know about hate, but he hates the rule set.
on the rule set.
Yes.
Okay,
What are we talking about?
Smogan.
but we're talking about Verlisify.
Yeah, Verlisify versus Shofu, where we were just explaining who Verlisify is. The
And he's
toxic-
had some encounters that have gotten personal, stuff like
He's
Yep.
also this is also unrelated, but he's a furry. So
Apparently, it's not that unrelated to you, Julian, as you
True.
felt the need to bring that up.
Hey, if anyone's wondering, Julian is black. Not important.
I think people can tell by his demeanor.
what?
Racist.
I'm not going to continue.
Shake
that
exposing
statement
himself
because
once again.
Someone clip that.
I'm on it. I've been waiting for this moment. I'll be right back.
Anyway,
So Shofu, he like put a joke on Twitter. It was like, "Hey, me versus Verlisify, $1,000 money match is Smash Ultimate." And for some reason, he unblocked Verlisify, and then Verlisify replied back on Twitter and was like, "Yeah, if he's serious, I'll do it." But then Shofu was like, "Are you serious?" And then they agreed to it. And the funny thing is that Shofu was like checking out Verlisify in terms of the Smash content one day on Twitch, and like in the video, like he was checking out a Verlisify video, and in the video, Verlisify said himself that he's a good casual, and he's agreeing to a $1,000 money match.
Dude,
he's gonna get bodied.
Yeah, so there are a couple like meme theories that like Verlisify is he's gonna pay someone to train him in Smash 4, or he's gonna hand off the controller to Zero or something, or but yeah,
have Zero play with the wireless controller.
yeah.
Oh yeah, like that like little girl that they did with
Carissa the Destroyer.
Carissa the Destroyer.
Korean DJ.
Yeah, and they put a KDJ instead of her playing.
Yeah, so I'm looking forward to Shofu botting Verlisify, basically.
So why should I dislike Verlisify? Because I'm seeing a lot of people.
You
saying
kind of
how-
missed us talking about that.
Oh. Okay, never mind.
Yeah,
He's
you can listen.
over.
You can listen if you listen to our podcast. You can. you can hear all about that. So.
I like the title. Mention this to go even further beyond.
I've been holding on to that for so long. Ever since that other thing Jake streamed where he was racist twice.
Can I delete this? Can I delete this Twitch clip? Why won't it let me delete it? What? Why won't it let me delete the clip?
Yeah, Catlin was part of the other two.
I listen to the podcast, know why to hate him. Get wrecked, B.
That's pretty funny. Get wrecked, beach.
So before we start like bringing in KKK members into this chat, we should probably get rid of Jake.
Wow. All right. Anyway, that's the end of the show, guys. We are actually hitting time.
Wait.
Like, legitimate.
Before we go,
That's good.
we go, I have some important updates to tell our audience.
Sure.
Okay.
There is no Shenmue 3 news this week.
Again?
Again,
Missed it.
you also missed that.
Oh,
So,
do I have to play that game for next week?
we'll talk about that after
the chat.
Yeah. So, anyway, thank you all for listening in. Shout outs to our sponsors this week. We are sponsored by Pringles.
Hey, I used to mess with those.
I like it.
Yeah.
That was very good.
I don't fuck with Pringles anymore. They're too salty. But if you
True.
Esports?
sorry, well, it's in the notes for the sponsor spot. I gotta read.
You're terrible.
You're a fraud.
I don't eat these anymore. But hey, thanks for the sponsorship.
No. Hold on. It specifically says here, like, if you like kidney stones and you like potatoes, you should eat Pringles.
There goes our
Where,
sponsor.
where are they saying this? Where is it? It's not on stream.
It's in the sponsor notes that I have here. They sent it to me. In the
Why do
mail.
you have sponsor notes? When did that happen?
Well, for sponsorship, you come on, Mitch, keep up.
We don't have real sponsors. You made this up.
We
In the
do.
stream.
Our other sponsors also Verlicify and Smokin'. They go together. Like, I
A
don't
bit
know.
of conflict of interest there.
Yeah, well, we also have Pringles on here, and our other competitor is, I don't know, someone who makes carrots. All right, have a good night, everyone.
I think we have thoroughly proved we're above the conflict of interest.
All right, Julian,
We're taking our sponsors and shitting on them.
sing us out.
Oh, we're still live. E-sporting on them. God. I didn't know we were still live.
Ha, you messed
I've
up too.
sworn a lot.
Yeah, Dan's all
Um,
sworn a lot. Yeah, this has not been a very e-sporty podcast.
We'll save it for season 3.
Yeah, it's got to do the cooking by the book. Something.
Oh, that guy died. Oh.
Oh yeah, he did. All right, anyone have a good night, everyone.
That's a sad note to
Bye.
end.
Bye.